No, I can't stand the thought of this. The Royal Mail, been around since the reign of Henry VIII, 1515, has revealed it's minded to accept a takeover bid by Czech billionaire Daniel Kretinsky, who lives in Czechoslovakia.
I don't know where he lives.
You don't?
No, is that where he lives?
He does not live in this country.
He does not live here. He lives in Prague, I think. He lives in Prague. Well, the improved offer from Daniel Kretinsky is worth £3.5 billion. It will be the first time the Royal Mail would fall into foreign hands since, as Andrew said, Henry VIII set it up over 500 years ago. Well,
let's talk to the General Secretary of the Communications Workers Union, Dave Ward. Dave, morning to you. You and I often disagree on things, but I think you and I perhaps today may be singing from the same hymn sheet. I'm appalled by the idea the Royal Mail could fall into foreign hands, a billionaire who's rather a shadowy figure too, I might add.
So, Andrew, you're right. This must be of major concern, not just for the workers of Royal Mail, who will be worried about how it affects their pensions, their jobs, their employment. And also, I think customers will be worried about what it actually means for the services. And, you know, Royal Mail is a UK institution. It's a critical part of the UK's infrastructure. So, of course, we're worried about it, and we need to understand more about what it all means. But can I also say that we are also not supporting the current Royal Mail Group board. And one of the reasons this has happened is because it is a failure of privatisation. And we may disagree about that, Andrew, but that's the reality of it. You can't say what you're saying and not acknowledge that it's been a failure. And that board's report yesterday was also not true. So the reason Royal Mail is vulnerable to such a bid is because it's been grossly mismanaged by the current board, something that we've talked about on your show, on other shows. And for them to come out and say that it's all down to, on this occasion, a government that hadn't introduced reform on the USO for years. Every single postal worker, every single customer knows that's not true. Royal Mail inflicted financial problems on itself when it gave away 650 million when there was an economic downturn. It never supported the workforce. It's actually attacked the workforce. So we find ourselves in a problem here. We don't like what we're hearing. Of course, we're worried. We need to understand more about that. We don't like what the current board's direction is because they're not taking Royal Mail anywhere. And equally, you know, our view is it's time for the UK to have a serious discussion about a new model of ownership. And I think the government, the Labour Party, the public should all be part of that debate going forward.
What would that new model look like to you, Dave? Do you have any idea how you could collaborate state and private business in that way?
Well, I mean, our view, look, our policy has always been to see Royal Mail renationalised. But we understand that in the current political environment and economic environment, that might be a difficult thing to contemplate. But there are lots of other models where the workers and the customers who rely on the services that Royal Mail provide have a greater say over the direction of the company. So there's things like not-for-profit organisations, there's things like public benefit companies. And I do really think this is a serious debate about how do you protect and grow a business in the future that is so critical to the UK's economy. It's still a major contributor to the UK economy. I think our concern is that the current board have got no growth plans. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to hear what Mr. Kretinsky says in the coming days and weeks about his plans. Clearly, the government will take a view because it can't happen unless the government, after they've done a National Security Act investigation, sanction it. So we'll be talking to the government, we'll be talking to the Labour Party, but we want to get a debate going across the whole of the UK about what's the right position for Royal Mail going forward.
Does this Czech billionaire know anything about running a national postal service? But, by the way, all of which is embossed with the insignia of His Majesty the King.
Yeah, a very good question, Andrew. I don't know. I've never met him. His people have reached out to us for a meeting to discuss what they say are our concerns, to explore our concerns. So, you know, we've got to do that. We've got to engage with a prospective owner. But I think the other important point here is this is a full takeover. This is 100% ownership of Royal Mail, a UK institution, by an equity investor from abroad. So I think in that way it's unprecedented. And therefore it needs to be scrutinised very, very carefully. But if Royal Mail wants to be a success, whoever owns it, they've got to get the workforce on board. And the current board have completely alienated the workforce. And that still continues today. They failed not just the workers, they failed customers. They don't tell the truth about quality of service. That's still not what it should be. So look, there's lots of issues to discuss here, but we want to make clear that there is room in this debate for people seriously thinking about, is there a better model? Now, why does it always have to be, well, it can only be this person taking over or that person? Why can't we have a serious in the UK that is all built around aligning the interest of customers, of workers and the company that can be successful in the future? That's what we want to focus on.
We really want to hear your thoughts as well on these 5 pledges from Labour today. Six, sorry. It's normally 5. They've added an extra one. The extra one, though, is nothing to do with trade unions or workers. Do you feel a bit let down when you see this list?
Look, I think that we've got to be open about the reality that Labour listens to a lot of different people. It wants to get elected. My own personal view at the moment is that the most transformational part of Labour's policy offering is actually the New Deal for working people. I think they know that.
That's not in the pledges. But that's not in the pledges.
It's going to be in the manifesto. So let's wait and see that, whether it's in the manifesto. That's the real debate about what's being offered. But why is it? I saw Pat McFadden being interviewed earlier on this morning. And I guess Pat's one of the people who, is sort of nervous about over-promising stuff. And, there's this debate going on with Labour. I don't get it, I'll be honest with you. The Tories have messed up the UK. They don't deserve to be a government anymore. I think the vast majority of people in the UK know that, but they're waiting to hear what is it that Labour are going to offer that's going to make a difference. And from what I saw of the pledges this morning, I think we have to go much further forward to convince the electorate.
And we have to go forward as well, Dave. I'm so sorry, we've run out of time.